You probably think humans tamed the wolf. But for thousands of years before there was any trust between the two species, the wolf's only job was to not let you freeze to death in your sleep. Picture the Yukon, or the Siberian steppe, or the frozen edge of the Dordogne Valley in France, somewhere between 20,000 and 30,000 years ago. Night temperatures drop to -30, sometimes colder. Humans have fire, but fire burns out. Fire needs someone awake to feed it. And nobody stays awake every night for a decade straight. So people did something that sounds almost too simple to be a survival strategy. They let wolves lie down next to them. Not as pets, not as friends, as furnaces. A wolf's core body temperature runs around 101 to 102, 5 degrees Fahrenheit, a few degrees hotter than a human's 98.6. Multiply that heat output across a 80 to 100 pound animal, pressed against your back in a shelter with no insulation, and you have a heating system that never needs firewood and never falls asleep on watch, because wolves sleep lightly and wake at the smallest sound. Here's the phrase that should stop you. 3-dog night. It's an old expression from cold northern regions, describing exactly how many dogs, or dog-like canids, you needed lying against your body to survive the coldest nights. 1 dog. Mild night. 3 dogs. You might live until morning. People weren't measuring affection. They were measuring degrees. Wait, this changes what domestication even means. We tend to picture a caveman feeding a shy wolf pup by hand until it grows loyal. But researcher Raymond Coppinger, who spent decades studying dog behavior and evolution, argued something colder and more mechanical. Wolves that could tolerate being near humans got a stable food source from human waste and leftover kills. And in return, the boldest, calmest of those wolves got to sleep in the warmth of a human camp. The relationship didn't start with trust. It started with thermodynamics. Now here's the part that should genuinely unsettle you. The wolves that leaned into this arrangement were making a trade that would eventually erase them. A 2020 genomic study published in Nature, led by researcher Anders Bergström and colleagues, traced dog ancestry back to a single, now extinct wolf population, showing that the dogs living in your house today share more DNA with each other than with any wolf alive right now. The wolf that kept ancient humans alive on the coldest nights of the Ice Age doesn't exist anymore. It gave its genome to us, and it disappeared. Every generation that curled up next to a human fire selected, slowly, for wolves that were calmer, less aggressive, more tolerant of closeness. Over thousands of years, that selection pressure didn't just change behavior. It changed bodies. Domesticated canids developed smaller skulls, shorter snouts, floppier ears, patches of white fur, all traits nobody was breeding for on purpose. Researcher Dmitry Belyaev's famous mid-20th century fox experiment in Siberia showed this happening in real time. Breed only for tameness, and within a few generations you get animals that look and act like puppies their whole lives. Something almost identical appears to have happened to wolves. Except the Ice Age version took thousands of years instead of a lapse 40. So by the time humans buried a dog next to a human at a site in Bonn-Oberkassel, Germany, roughly 14,000 years ago, one of the oldest confirmed dog burials ever found, the transformation was already advanced. That wasn't a wild wolf. It was already something new. Something that had spent thousands of winters absorbing human body heat and giving its own heat back. Here's your wait what moment. The species that needed the wolf most wasn't actually the one at risk of extinction. It was the reverse. Humans without dogs had other survival options: bigger fires, denser furs, tighter shelters, other humans to huddle with. Wolves that chose to linger near human camps gave up the wide-ranging, self-sufficient life of a wild pack animal. They bet their whole evolutionary future on us. And most of that original bet, the actual Ice Age wolf population that made the trade, lost. It went extinct. What survived was the domesticated line. The dog. This is where the psychology gets uncomfortable. Because we still run the exact same program. Humans are not built to regulate body temperature alone. Sleeping next to another warm-body human or animal measurably improves sleep quality and lowers stress hormones like cortisol. Many dog owners report their dog makes them feel secure enough to sleep better, not worse, even when the dog moves around during the night. That's not a new-fashioned comfort. That's a 20,000-year-old wiring problem showing up in a queen-sized bed in a heated apartment. Think about your own dog if you have one, or your friend's dog, or literally any dog you've watched fall asleep against a person's leg on a couch. It looks like affection. It probably is affection now. But underneath that affection is a mechanism that used to be the difference between a human waking up and a human not waking up. The dog isn't just keeping you company. Somewhere in its genetic memory, it's still doing its Ice Age job. We keep dogs in houses with central heating now. Neither of us actually needs the other's body heat to survive the night anymore. And yet, we still do it anyway, still let a 100-pound animal take up 2/3 of the bed. Still feel weirdly unsettled trying to fall asleep in a completely empty room. 20,000 years of a species literally saving your life by lying next to you doesn't just disappear because you installed a furnace. It just goes quiet, waiting in the shape of every dog that still climbs onto the bed at night like it has somewhere important to be.